Good morning. Well, yesterday's podcast, I said to the universe, "It's your move, Batman." You know what I mean? I was very smug about it and everything else. And I have to be honest, I didn't have a great day. I didn't have a great day at all. But that's perfectly okay. Now it's my move, and this is how life works. Not getting all upset or pissed off about, or even the smallest bit angry. It's just now my move. I spent the day with. I used to say that some people were horrible cunts, and the universe said, well, if he's a horrible cunt, what is the rapists and murderers in the jail? And I says, yeah, I suppose, yeah. I'll have to find new terms, What would you suggest? And the universe, what about interesting? And that works, I suppose. Yeah, we could say interesting. And I suppose from that respect, yesterday was interesting because I got to see what makes them, well, we won't call them horrible anymore, but undesirable. Undesirable. Yeah. Because when I had spent my day, like, with the individuals in question, like, I sort of came to the conclusion, that I did seek to understand them, and I did, to a point it was interesting. And then when we got to a point, I sort of got to the point where I don't ever want to be in these people's company again. You know what I mean? And that's it. Now I'll exercise self-control. Now this is self-control. The ability and right to make this choice. I don't want to be in their company again. And this is self-control. And I thought yesterday all about self-control and self-control. And yesterday, like, I was sitting with this lad, and I just come to the realization, like, that, that he wants to be part of a certain religion. He wants to be a Jew, but I mean, like, so I said, right, let's talk about the Bible, and I brought up a few stories out of the Bible and said, what's your interpretation of that? What do you think of that now? And he hadn't given it any thought at all. Like, and I said, do you not think about these things? He said, well, I just do what my rabbi tells me. And I said, all right. But basically, that's the way the whole thing transpired. That he wants to be someone hold my hand and lead me across the road. Mammy, bring me across the road. You know the way your mammy used to bring you across the road? Mine didn't. But you know the way they used to bring. And still to this day, I have issues in that regard. But in that, I just cross the road whenever I feel like it. I'm actually working on this at the moment. I'm trying to, be more civilized. But my point is, like, he doesn't actually want to think for himself. Do you know what I'm saying? And he actually has a role, and I'm sure he's enjoying his role. And it wasn't for me to deviate him from this role either. You know what I mean? But I just realised, like, that's, like, I had this thing of finite and infinite, but I realised that you can be completely stuck in both at the same time. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's very hard to and I think this is what was being shown yesterday. It's actually very easy to be stuck in both at the same time. You absolutely don't think for yourself, but you can't see past yourself. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's I want. But you can't see past yourself. Like, it's a very strange day, will we say. I didn't enjoy it, but that doesn't matter. Like, that absolutely doesn't matter. But it was a strange day because I actually suppose it was something else, something new to think about, rather than this finite, which was just a binary, that would be just black and white. I got to see that there's a spectrum in between this as well, between the finite and infinite. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, this is a binary, and I had it down to black and white, stuck in the finite, stuck in the infinite, stuck in the finite, stuck in the infinite. And then yesterday I got to learn that there's a spectrum in between. You can be stuck in both at the same time, but you still, like, it's very hard to explain this. Do you know what I mean? You don't think for yourself, but you only think about yourself. Do you know what I mean? And so I sort of asked your man, like, you're sort of like a man that wants to identify as a woman. And he says, well, I suppose, because I was trying to relate to this, and I was trying to understand this. And I sat down with a man before that wanted to identify as a woman, and I sought to understand him as well. And I remember, like, coming to the culmination of it, I said, like, yeah, but it's all fine wanting to identify as a woman. That's all grand wanting to identify as a woman. But you're 6'4" and you build like a brick shit house. I mean, like, you don't identify as with my concept of a woman, if you know what I'm saying. Like, for me, this is my concept of a man is a universal concept to some degree. Like, we share certain characteristics, but even though I can agree that the line gets faded, that there's 50 shades of grey in between as well. Like, you can get, I know several men that are very feminine, and I know several women that are quite boyish. Like, there's a line in between. But this man this person was quite he's a fine stature of a man, like big man, like, and I wouldn't mind only he wore a pair of work boots and a like. But he wanted to push this thing that I'm a woman. Don't call me mate, I'm a woman. But I said, but do you understand that this is a mind fuck? That this is a mind fuck, because what you're looking to do is you're looking to challenge our concept of a man, and you're trying to say, like, no, I'm a woman. But that for us is a mind fuck, and I think you're going to have to appreciate this. Now, your man yesterday was a little bit different in this, because he insisted in saying I am a Jew. He insisted in saying I'm not a Jew, but behaving and acting like a Jew. So he actually wanted us to tell him, you are a Jew. You act like a Jew. You look like a Jew. If it walks like a duck, looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's a fucking duck. But he wanted us to reassure him he's Jewish. But I wasn't even going there. I wasn't even going there. And these people can be perfectly individual, like, and I couldn't give a fuck for the individuality, and I couldn't give a fuck for trying to change them either. But I have to say, I really don't want to spend any more time in their company. But I have learned that there is a binary between the finite and the infinite, but that was yesterday's lesson. So even though I didn't have a very enjoyable day, that came of it. Now, I want to talk about something else as well. Now, yesterday I said about fuck the carbon. I'll tell you what Stoicism is all about. People try, because when I sat with these people yesterday, first of all, I tried to what I saw in others, look for in myself first. And by Jesus, I tried and I looked hard. And they were the exact opposite of me, and I could not see any of me in them whatsoever. So, for example, like, I said to myself, well, do you want to be a Stoic? Do you want to be a Stoic? If he wants to be Jewish, do you want to be a Stoic? And I said, no, I fucking don't. I don't say I practice that philosophy, but a completely different understanding of it than most of the proclaimed Stoics tend to see it. But I practice it, but with a completely different, but it seems to be a completely different philosophy in a lot of ways to what they practice. So do I identify as a Stoic from would I identify with them? Absolutely fucking not. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. No. I claim Julius Caesar as a Stoic. I would more identify with that model of Stoicism, but I don't know if there's much of that going around, which would make me sort of an individual. So that's the first thing. I'm not trying to identify as a Stoic per se, as they are now, the modern day Stoic. No, I'm not. And I'm most certainly not trying to identify with Epictetus. So I suppose we could say I'm not trying to identify as a Stoic. So that's the first thing. The second thing is I do practice Stoicism, but my own understanding of it and my own interpretation of it, and that's what I teach. And a part of that is to think for yourself. And that for me is the most important thing. To think for yourself, So yesterday, after what might be deemed my the universe's answer to my perhaps lack of self-control, which I consider to be in full self-control, because I'll do what I like. And if I could see no good reason for doing it apart from the fact that I'm going to suffer a little bit, then that won't stop me, because I'm not afraid to suffer. And I'll do what I like. And that for me is self-control. And then self-control is thinking for yourself. thinking for yourself. Now, this is very important. Now, yesterday I said, fuck the tax, fuck the carbon tax, fuck the tax. And I presented with you an alternative argument. I said you're acting against your own interest. Unless you want to fucking live in light candles and light candles and live like a miserable existence, maybe from the 1800s. You're not acting in your own interest when you're saying no carbon, no carbon, no carbon. Put away your car, turn off your electricity, do that sort of thing if you want no carbon. But otherwise you're just subjecting yourself to emotional manipulation, and this is very much what's happening now. Like, for example, like, if we actually understood nature, the death of the universe is inevitable. In other words, like, our traverse around the sun is what determines our seasons, and then likewise our traverse through the Milky Way, so a galaxy within a galaxy, also impacts on our seasons, which brings around the long-term things. If you read Spinoza's philosophy, for example, the seasons will come again, like, the ice age will come again, the floods will come again. Like, this is all that has to come has gone before, and this just ties into the seasons. So our death as a species is inevitable anyway. And once we actually acknowledge this, then we can begin to enjoy life. But a story I want to tell you in relation to this is, one day I was going along the road, and I don't know if I told you the story before, where the universe said to me, you're doing it to yourself, you're doing it to yourself. So in relation to my own suffering, the universe was saying, you're doing it to yourself, you're doing it to yourself. And then the question has to be, well, what am I doing to myself? And that's how you get off the hamster wheel. But we'll talk about that again. But meanwhile, anyway, walking along, and I threw a fag bot on the ground, and the universe said to me, what about the environment? You're not going to go back and pick that up? And I went back and I picked up the fag bot, and I just said, you're doing it to yourself. You're doing it to yourself. So this is in relation to the environment. Like, most people don't think for themselves. But that's why I say to the universe, you're doing it to yourself. You're doing it to yourself. Cutting down all the trees, the fucking litter, the trash, everything. I say, you're doing it to yourself. And this is very important to understand. But you also have to understand that the universe doesn't give a fuck. I'm finite. You're finite. We're all finite. Humanity as a whole is finite, but the universe is infinite, so it doesn't have to give a fuck. Do you understand? And going around trying to impose your virtue signal with everybody, don't smoke, don't drink, don't live, don't live, and then this goes out to a mass scale of carbon tax, or we'll have to put a carbon tax on you. But basically they're emotionally manipulating you to buy these stupid electric cars, which make you completely dependent on the state. It does in Ireland anyway, makes you completely dependent on the state, because there's only one supplier of electricity. There's only one supplier of electricity. They have a complete monopoly, and they're owned by the state. So with all your electric cars in Ireland, you're going to be completely dependent on the state and at the mercy of the state. And it's complete emotional manipulation across the board, getting you to buy these, creating a whole industry around it. Solar panels, windmills, fucking seatings, fucking everything. But they're creating a whole industry around it. This environmental thing. Now, if you stop shitting your pants, you can start to think rationally. And then you can start to think, well, where would I like to find balance in this? Where would I like to find balance in this? But you can stop shiting your pants that we're all going to die, Stop letting them fearmonger you, and then think rationally how you want to move with this. This is how I live. I don't shit my pants about anything. I think rationally, but my choices are not affected by fear, not by anger, most certainly not by love or lust or anything. That's shite, because that'll Jesus. If I really want my head stamped on, that's the road I'll go down. But do you know what I'm saying? So just collectively, let's just start to think for ourselves, because I spent all day yesterday with people who don't. And that's tough. Tough for me anyway. Right, good morning.